Hello, everyone. I am Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and this is the 6th episode of the Fireside Yankees show. Your New York Yankees are playoff bound, officially 4 games up in the American League East. This is my friend and co-host, Sam. Sam, the Yankees took 2 out of 3 against Seattle, dropped the close one today, but I think we kind of don't really care. The Yankees added a game in the division over this series. They obviously shortened the season because now we're down to our final 9 games. And the Yankees are in the driver's seat for the division. They are the 1 seed as well, although that lead reduced to just 1 game after the Guardians won today. So that kind of stings a little bit. But right now, I feel really good about where they're at. They pitched well. They hit really well in the first game, not so much the next 2, but they did enough in that second game. And yeah, I mean, Sam, how are you feeling? How you doing? And talk to me a little bit.
You're smiling ear to ear if you're a Yankee fan over the last 3 days. Guys, I get it. You know, today, tough loss. You lose 3-2 to the Mariners. I don't really want to talk about that game too much because I didn't really think it was necessarily worth it because today was the hangover game. The boys partied hard last night. The champagne was flying. You saw Jazz on Instagram Live having an absolute blast. The boys were bopping last night in the Seattle clubhouse. Yankees back in the postseason for the first time. It feels like an eternity. My first time being in the postseason at Empire Sports Media. I think that's cause for celebration. That's big news. I'm very happy that we're back. Everybody's smiling. Again, you lose a baseball game. It's awful. You want to go out. You want to win every single day. But granted, it's the hangover game, guys. The teams never win the hangover game. Was impressed by the Jazz home run, though, after he was going after pretty hard last night. But we will get into all of that stuff a little bit later. Guys, before we get into it, I have to shout out the social media stuff. Fireside Yankees on all platforms. Fireside.Yankees on some platforms. Fireside Yankees on most platforms. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere that you want to find us. If you're seeing our beautiful faces right now, you are obviously checking out the YouTube channel. Check out our shorts feed. There's a ton of stuff that goes out there as well. And of course, we just recently partnered up with Sleeper Pick'em. I know they're only available in a select amount of states. However, if you play Sleeper Pick'em and you use our code CASHONLY, they will give you a half a yard special on Aaron Rodgers tonight. I'm not sure when this episode is going to go out, but Aaron Rodgers over under half a yard tonight. He's on that MetLife turf, so I'm praying the best for him. I hope he's going to be okay and, not just do the trot out thing again. But if you want to go use that, gamble responsibly, do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to make you do it. But go check out Fireside Bets as well. We're giving out some plays every single day. Parlays sometimes, and the best bets are always hitting. You know what I mean? You'll hear my crazy, wacky voice on the parlays, but the best bets always hit. Jack does an incredible job over there. But Ryan, let's get into the clincher, man. This was a fun one. We got to play the song twice. A lot of dancing, a lot of movement. Let's ride, man. Game 1 was an absolute joy. We were clipping to the 9s that night, son.
Yeah, man, they just tagged up on Brian Wu, who usually owns us. Like, I remember going into that series, I think we were talking about it while I was in my beloved school library. I thought the Yankees were going to have a tough time hitting Brian Wu, and they proceeded to tag him up for 7 runs. It was the first time he allowed more than 6 runs in an outing, earned runs to clarify. They were just hitting, man. They were hitting. You had a huge home run from Soto, a 2-run blast. Torres had 3 hits and a double. They got a home run from Jason Dominguez. Dominguez's first home run of the 2024 season. He swung the bat well in this series. Oswaldo Cabrera had a couple of strong at-bats. Judge had 4 RBIs on the day, had the first 4 runs scored of the game. They got a really solid start of Luis Gil, given that his command was off. I just felt like this was a complete game, right? Like they got, they got the Tim Meza inning. He saved the bullpen a little bit. Stroman, he collects his first save as New York Yankee, his first save since 2014, his rookie season. 3 innings, 1 run, 3 strikeouts, a home run allowed as the only blemish on that stat line. If he gives you that in a bullpen role in the postseason, it'll be valuable because you're going to need to have some guys who can eat innings. I'm not saying he's particularly someone I look forward to seeing on the mound in a bullpen situation, but I do understand there's value in having a guy who can eat innings. And Stroman seems to be capable of it. And he seems to be bought in because they're having him stay in the bullpen for the next turn through the rotation. Overall, it was just a really impressive game, Sam. I was so happy to just have so much to clip and post on the Twitter.
Yeah, we had an absolute blast. You and I were working real hard that night just because, when that stuff comes out, we're just clipping, we're posting, we're throwing stuff up. Couple takeaways from the game. We will continue to push this narrative about Gleyber Torres and how impressive he's been out of the leadoff spot. And you saw this tonight. Granted, these hits from Gleyber Torres aren't necessarily ropes. They're not necessarily lasers, but he can dink and dunk one in, get a couple singles, get a couple RBIs on the board, get people on base, make stuff happen on the base paths. That's what makes Gleyber Torres very valuable at the top of that leadoff spot. And then, like we were talking about just a couple of days ago, the beasts are awake, man. Juan Soto's back. Juan Soto can hit again. Real rough stretch. Probably the roughest stretch he's had as a Yankee. But this cat can hit again, man. That home run was massive, massive. And it was an absolute tank. 200th home run of his career. He has now hit a home run in all 30 ballparks in his major league career, and he's only 25 years old. I'm about to turn 25, and I just podcast in my bedroom. That's what I do for a living. And then Aaron Judge, like we talked about on the weekend, 2 hits tonight, 4 ribbies. At one point in time, it was literally Judge 4, Mariners 1. So Aaron Judge back in his saddle, looking great after slumping for a while. Him and Soto actually had a weird stretch where they both were kind of teetering off, which is really interesting because we haven't really seen that. When your big guys don't hit, you don't win baseball games. But the Yankees won 2 baseball games this week. And then, the thing with Luis Gil, and you and I talked about this personally, is Luis Gil can be so frustrating to watch as a starting pitcher sometimes because he really struggles with that control and really gets himself into these jams. But you consistently see these results with Luis Gil where he's able to go out and give you 5 strong. He's able to give you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strikeouts. Maybe he's going to walk 3 to 4 guys, but he's still going out there and giving you length. It really reminds me, Ryan, and I don't know if you would agree with this. It reminds me of a younger Luis Severino. Granted, Luis Severino was 7 years ago, but like the losing control thing, high strikeout stuff, looks good, can give you the solid 5. But Gil continues to just give you good performances. And I think that the Yankees are going to end up making relatively tough decisions down the line as far as what the playoff rotation is going to be and if they want to run a 4-man or if they want to run a 3-man. But I think Gil's kind of stated his case and, is a guy that definitely should put his name in the hat for that role. Stroman comes out of the bullpen, looks okay. I don't expect him to be perfect out of the bullpen because this isn't a guy that normally works out of the bullpen. He's usually working as a starter, and that bullpen routine compared to the starter routine is completely different unless it was like a thing where like, hey, Stroh, you're going to pitch today. Like it's a guarantee kind of thing. But I don't really care about what he did. He gives up the 1 run. It looks pretty solid throughout the rest of the start. But relatively, this is a throwaway game because the Yankees just throw up a billion runs, and you're like, okay, well, the next day the Yankees are going to, get shelled on and just not be able to do anything. But, man, game 2 was a little interesting.
I was almost more impressed by game 2 than game 1. Not to say that game 1 wasn't impressive, but I know they can hit. You know what I mean? I guess
I totally agree. I'm so with you.
I don't have a question of whether they can hit or not. And I know people they were bad runners scoring position today. Like they have a top 5 OPS runners scoring position this season. That's not a concern for me, right? Like it's not a concern if they can hit or not. My question's what's their pitching going to look like? And man, I was so impressed with Nestor Cortes. 6 innings, 3 walks, 4 hits. So there was some traffic, but 6 strikeouts, got some big outs. He got a 1-run lead in the 2nd inning. And he ran away with it, right? Like he got a 1-run lead and he was nails. He was awesome. And, you ask that of an ace, right? Like you go to your ace and go, hey, if we give you 1 run, we'd really prefer if you'd win this game. Not even a, hey, you have to, we'd prefer if you did. That's what Nestor did for the Yankees. Now, it obviously got dicey in the 8th inning. Clay Holmes gives up the game-tying home run to Justin Turner on what was just a really bad slider, right? Like there's no other way to put it. That was a really bad pitch. And honestly, he's really starting to deplete in that bullpen chart. And I think I'm trying to hang on to dear life that he can be something, but we've got less than 10 games to go and I'm here with Clay Holmes. But focusing on the positive here, holy crap, man, Luke Weaver needed Hamilton. And Tommy Kahnle had 2 out. He recorded 2 outs in this game as well, and he didn't allow a run. But I wanted to highlight Hamilton and Weaver specifically because they struck out 6 batters in 2 2/3 innings of work. 6 strikeouts. Do you know how hard it's been for this bullpen to generate strikeouts? And oh yeah, they allowed combined 2 runners. One a walk by Weaver, another that kind of sawed off hit from Cal Raleigh in the 10th. where, again, Hamilton has first and third, nobody out. You need strikeouts. The double play is not going to wipe out their one at third. A pop-up isn't going to, it's only going to be one out. You need to miss a bat. You need to miss bats there. Hamilton picks up the biggest strikeout of Rosarena. We see one of the weirdest base running plays ever. Like, Julio Rodriguez, apparently he thought the ball was dead because when the bat flies off the batter's hands, if it impedes a defender's ability to field the ball is dead. But if it doesn't, it's not dead. That's the rule. And apparently Rodriguez got confused there. But he gets gunned out at third. Awesome to be that aware from Jazz and Wells, and a huge play. And then he just blows 98 right by Justin Turner. Ian Hamilton and Luke Weaver. I mean, Weaver's performance in the set in 8th and 9th. I mean, I can't get enough of these two guys. These two guys have been unbelievable. These two guys punch tickets. They punch tickets, and that's exactly what this bullpen needs. So that's what had me more impressed with this game. That I have two guys in my bullpen right now. I feel like I can bring them in and go punch everybody out. Punch everybody on the planet out right now.
The reason why this game and this win is so impressive, and we kind of talked about this a couple days ago, is because previous Yankee teams don't win these games. Previous Yankees teams don't win these games. And, like, I get it. Like, it was a bit of a stroke of luck with the Rosarena J-Rod thing, like, of being able to get that heads up out and just literally being able to steal the win away. But Yankees teams don't win these types of games. Like, my confidence level heading into that 10th inning was on the floor. I was like, okay, like, Rizzo's up. Rizzo hasn't really hit. Rizzo had 2 hits last night. Rizzo had 2 solid RBIs last night and practically won that game on the bats because they only had 3 hits last night as a team, and he had 2 of them. But, like, you thought that game was dead. Like, it was completely over. There was no chance that they were going to come back into that game. You know, you get that crazy stroke of luck out there. Shout out Randy Rosarena. Randy, thank you so much, man. You tormented the Yankees for years in the AL East, and now you literally just handed us a win, and I really, really appreciate you. You might be one of the nicest guys on the planet. I really love that out of you, dude. You're doing a great job over there in Seattle. Thank you so much. And then, you know, with the bullpen stuff, and your biggest takeaway here has got to be that Clay Holmes, I'm sorry, man. There's 10 games left to go. It is time for you to move into the 6th inning role. It is time for you to move where Ian Hamilton has been operating. It is time for you to move even farther down that pecking order because Luke Weaver comes out again and his nails. You get Ian Hamilton comes out in his nails. These guys have energy. They have flair. They're striking out a billion guys. Like you said, they had 6 Ks in 3 innings. Like that's lockdown type of stuff. And if Clay comes out in an 8th inning and blows a save in a game where he wasn't even a closer, I'm okay. I am okay off of moving off of that experiment, making him a 6th inning guy, putting him in those, like, you know, Jake Cousins, like Tommy Kahnle type roles where he's a little bit lower down the pecking order. I still think he can give you innings, but when you're in these high leverage situations in one-run ball games, I don't trust Clay Holmes. And I'm going to be honest, I think his confidence is probably on the floor at this point. But I think that if you work Hamilton and Weaver as your 8-9 guys, I think that is absolutely gorgeous. It is completely locked down, and I have full confidence that that team can close them out late in the game. And then Nestor Cortes Jr., welcome back. 2022, Nestor Cortes, welcome back to the New York Yankees, man. This is 15 1/3 innings. He's only given up 1 run, Ryan. This guy's a freak. He's on a different planet. He sent out that really weird tweet about being on the Yankees and being a Yankee after the trade deadline. And after that, he's been nothing but nails. And Nestor Cortes, you, after being put in the bullpen, are now probably putting yourself in a conversation to get a playoff start. Because going out there and getting that 1-run lead, and I even told you, Ryan, I was like, Ryan, I think he's, you know, after the 5th, like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, that 3rd time through the Yorker thing, you said give him 1 more. And he goes out and gives you 1 more. Nestor Cortes, you have been immaculate for this ball club over your last 3 starts, man. I am incredibly impressed with what he's been able to do. Just so impressive. Like you said, it's ace-type stuff from Nestor Cortes being able to keep you in a 1-run game like that. That was awesome. This game was unbelievably fun. The celebrations after were so immaculate. So many fun things happening. Soto was live. Jazz was live. Glaber was live. Aaron Judge was the dad and probably had to leave the party early because he's the captain and he's got, the wife and kids at home. But, it was just such a fun night. And granted, being on the East Coast and they were out there on the West Coast, this was a 3 a.m. night. You know what I mean? And they had an absolute blast. And I didn't expect them to go into the next day winning a baseball game. But this win was absolutely nails. I was far more impressed with this win just because of how close it was and how they were able to pitch compared to the blowout game, because it was just kind of a dead baseball game in the 5th inning. But it was nothing but smiles last night, and they completely turned the tide. Previous Yankees teams do not win games like that. It does not happen, and they were able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. And on another note with Nestor Cortez, so dating back to that start against the Chicago White Sox, August 13th. So his ERA was 4.42 on that day. Since then, he has a 1.58 ERA. His ERA has dropped to 3.77. I think the key thing here, he's prevented home runs. He's given up just 3 home runs over that stretch. Coming into that, he had 21 home runs allowed in 24 starts. That was a 1.41 home runs per 9. He's limiting the damage contact against. Batters an 8.7% barrel rate and a 90.1% exit velocity against him. Since then, again, 88.4 mile per hour average exit velocity. That's nearly 2 miles an hour less, and a 4.9% barrel rate. So they're just not hitting the ball nearly as far as they used to off him. I think the big thing here is the changeup. That changeup's been immaculate for him. He's throwing it 16.6% of the time over this 7-outing stretch. On the season beforehand, he had thrown it 7.8% of the time. That's become one of his best weapons. His cutter has been a little better. His fastball usage has gone down. In fact, in 5 of those 7 outings, he's thrown his fastball under 40% of the time. And I think, in a sense, yes, it's awesome to have a Nestor Cortez that is far more similar to 2022 Nestor. But on the other hand, I just want to give him props for adapting, right? Because Nestor Cortez, there isn't just the player to it. There's also an identity to it, I think, the mustache, Nestor, all that. When you're really good in 2022, it's easy to look at 2023 and go, oh, I was just hurt. That's why I struggled. And then just try to do it again in 2024. I think it takes a pitcher who's willing to adapt, someone who's willing to bite the bullet or swallow their pride and go, all right, I can recognize something's wrong and change things up, and quite literally change things up, because that changeup has never been a weapon for him, and now it is. And as you mentioned, now he's really in a position to maybe get a playoff start. And he's been, he made that comment after the Cubs outing, I'm a workhorse, this is and that, and people got upset at him, but I'm all for him saying that. He has 174 1/3 innings pitched this season. That's by far the most on the Yankees. He has 31 appearances, 30 of them being starts, a 3.77 ERA, a 3.2 WAR. That's top 20 in all of baseball for starting pitchers. This guy's been a workhorse. He might end up with 180 innings pitched, which I know 10 years ago that's not a lot, but nowadays that is a lot. On a rotation that saw Garrett Cole go down before the season even started. Before the year even started, you lose Garrett Cole. Your workhorse, the guy who's always going to give you 30 starts. It's always going to give you 200 innings. And credit to Nestor, he stepped up a 3.77 ERA with 180 innings, if that's what he ends up with. That's more than what I could have bargained for. I was shocked we got 150 out of him. We might get 180 innings in Nestor Cortez this season, folks. There's a chance we can even maybe get 185, depends on how many starts he gets down the stretch here. But he's been awesome for this team. He's been money, he's been nails, and whether it's a reliever, a starter, he will play a big role on this pitching staff. And I just want to give one more shout to Luke Weaver, because I was reading a quote from something that was written in The Athletic earlier this year. Luke Weaver asked himself last year, when he had the worst ERA in baseball for any pitcher with 120 innings pitched, if his career was going to be over, if he was done, if maybe this was it. He talked about in another podcast that I watched, him talking about his 2023 season. He broke down in his hotel room multiple times last year. And to think, I'm just seeing him scream off the mound. His velo's gone up since he's become the closer. It's kind of like, I don't know how to put it, but you can rally behind this guy. You know what I mean? There's more than just the performance. The story is sick. It's so cool. The guy was DFA'd twice. He was initially a top prospect, a first-round pick, flamed out as a starter, comes over to the Yankees, and he's one of the best relievers in baseball. Did you know since moving to the closer spot, he has struck out over 52% of batters faced? Over 52! He has 16 strikeouts in 7 appearances since becoming the closer. That's unbelievable. This team needed a hero in the rotation. Nestor stepped up. They need a hero in the bullpen. Weaver stepped up. That's the kind of stuff that happens. And I'm kind of playing off the last episode. This is the kind of stuff that happens for a World Series team. Having guys step up in positions where they desperately needed someone to step up.
That was a beautiful little segment about Luke Weaver. That was absolutely beautiful. And to kind of piggyback off of that idea of the people stepping up, and really about the bullpen. And when we were talking about down the stretch, and especially at the trade deadline was really where this popped up because we were begging Cash, go out and get a reliever, go out and get a big time arm, go out and get somebody. He really didn't. I mean, he goes out and gets Mark Leiter. Mark Leiter has been horrible for you. He goes out and get Enyel De Los Santos, and he's gone. I think he's in Chicago now with the White Sox, which is funny. But you don't make any big moves. And the Yankees all year were looking for a guy who had crazy strikeout stuff, who can come in, be an instant impact, who could be a flamethrower, who could get you consistent outs at the biggest points in time. And this guy, over the last 2 weeks, that, to be honest with you, to the fan base, everybody thought was just this funky guy that was out of the bullpen, that was real cute, and, he's a little goofy. This is now an instant impact. And if this team goes on a DVD, Luke Weaver's name will be all over that DVD because this guy right now is absolutely nails. And with the game on the line, you ask me somebody that I want out of that Yankees bullpen, I'm picking Luke Weaver. I want Luke Weaver 1,000%. He stepped up. He earned this role. He ripped that closure spot away from Clay Holmes. No offense to Clay. Clay, you're a good guy. Thank you for your service. I really appreciate what you did. You should probably pitch in the sixth inning from now on. However, Luke Weaver's nails. And there is nobody that I could be happier for than Luke Weaver right now, being in the position that he's in. It's an incredible story. And I love watching the guy pitch. He's so damn fun. He's so fun, man.
Absolutely, dude. He just punches tickets. And that's, I think, the big thing here. The Yankees just needed their bullpen to be a strikeout unit, and they're finally getting that. They did lose somebody in Jake Cousins, but there are some good news. When Aaron Boone spoke to the media after Cousins was pulled from his outing, and fastball velo was 90 to 91. Not encouraging, right? That's massive. If you wanted to talk about red flags, that's up there with any red flag you could possibly think of, especially for a guy who has been kind of shaky command-wise lately. He immediately hits Rojas. Boone said that he thinks this is more of a minor thing, that this is more of like a give him a couple days to rest, that kind of thing. This does kind of speak to how important it is to win the division, though, because if you win the division, it's more time for Jake Cousins to get off. It means, again, like maybe you don't pitch him in the Pittsburgh series. Maybe he just kind of does some side sessions. You get some guys time off. Talking about Luke Weaver, you want to get Luke Weaver time off eventually. He's locked in right now. He's zeroed in, but you want to get him some time off eventually. You would like to not have him be, you don't want him in a weird sense. You would like to see less of Luke Weaver. He has 80 in the third innings pitched this year, the second most by any reliever in baseball behind Derek Law and Ryan Yarbrough. But Ryan Yarbrough is a starter who comes out of the bullpen to give like 3-4 inning outings. Derek Law, that is just a guy who might just be getting overworked. He might be getting overworked. The Nationals, he might have to he might have to follow something with the Nationals there. But yeah, I just want to make sure these bullpen arms get time off. But at least it's good that Jake Cousins thinks it's a right pec tightness. I was fearing for shoulder, elbow. When you hear shoulder tightness, elbow tightness, my head starts spinning. I'm like, oh no, this is really bad. But look, the last game was kind of a wash. They lost. I thought Schmidt threw the ball well. I think it's been a crummy error in the first, but I swung the bat well. Bullpen didn't allow any runs. Soto gave me a little scare with that ball in right field, but he was not only on the outfield, but I don't know if he took another. No, he did take another. No, he didn't take another at bat because there wasn't. He didn't get to come up, but he was on the field. Honestly, that's more encouraging than him even taking that bat. Not really a game where I go, damn it, this team sucks. It's more like, all right, shit happens, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was A-okay with losing today. I was perfectly fine. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit back here and freak out. Obviously, you want to see your team win every single day. 100%. You want to see your team win. Logan Gilbert went out there and shoved. Clark got roughed up early, but kind of like settled in and ended up throwing well by the end of it. But like, you get locked down. I mean, like after coming off of a win last night, like I said, this is the hangover game. This was, Jazz Chisholm's flu game today with the home run. That was a lot of fun to see because he hasn't hit one in a long time. Dominguez gets 2 hits, and that's actually somebody that I want to zone in on. Granted, this is a very small sample, but he really seems like he's starting to get his footing here over the past 3 games. And now that he's playing every day, it's awesome. So during this series, and granted, this is very small sample size, but 13 plate appearances, 3 runs, 3 hits, 7 total bases, a double, a home run, an RBI, 2 walks, 385 OBP, 636 slug, and good for a 1.0 OPS. Jason Dominguez starts to look like he's kind of getting his feet under him a little bit and looks like he's really going to, kind of just push Verdugo out of the lineup and not really see any kick from him anymore. We'll see what happens down the stretch and if Dominguez can keep it up. But Dominguez looks very patient at the plate. He looks like he's taking his walks well. Finding good spots. Doesn't look like he's completely selling out for power. He can dunk in a single every once in a while. So I think that, this is probably the most positive thing that I took out today. And the other positive thing is that Giancarlo Stanton's not hurt because Giancarlo Stanton didn't play in the first 2 games of the series. And I know that the Yankees kind of do this thing where they sit down Stanton for a couple days and then they put him on the IL, and then it gets real funky because, it just looks like a normal day off for Stanton. But the 2 days off looked a little bit concerning. Was not great today by any means, but like he hasn't played in 2 days. I didn't expect him to be. But Stanton is not hurt, which is good. He got some running today. And the Yankees end up clinching a playoff spot. And it's a very weird feeling because we didn't have it last year. And, this team has been pretty good all year, and they've been going through a really incredible stretch right now. But Ryan, this feels good, and it feels awesome because we came off of talking about the World Series talk last week, and you go into a series like this against a Mariners team who, folks, remind you, this team was fully fighting for a wild card spot. Heading into this series. They were looking to step up. It's really weird in that, 6 to 8 range right now in the American League wildcard. Everybody's kind of duking it out for that last spot. I think the Mariners are still right now 3 games out of that spot, but they just lost 2 games in a row. And Detroit surging, Minnesota, Kansas City, like all those weird teams that are jumbled up in there. But the Mariners came in and needed to win a couple baseball games here. Yankees were able to walk into their house, take care of business, stomped on them on Tuesday. Incredible performance or Wednesday. We talked about how electric that game was, but Yankees are in a playoff spot, man. And right now it's, you kind of control your own destiny. You know what I mean? You now go out. Your next step is you're going to Oakland. I'm going to hope and pray that you can go to Oakland this week, take 2 or 3, and then you go back home and you're playing Baltimore. And at that point, Baltimore, who's really struggling, they had a nice little walk-off today, so they finally won a baseball game. But right now, you have a 4-game lead on Baltimore. It's time to lock up that division. That's your next step. And then after that, Cleveland's been awesome this year. Cleveland's been great. Then after that, it's time to lock up that 1 seed because I'm going to be honest, I don't want to see Houston until the ALCS. It's just not even as fun. If we don't see them in the ALCS, I'd just much rather see them there. But this is kind of checkbox 1 down for, multiple steps because after that, it's, AL East, 1st seed, then you go win 11 games. And you win 11 games, it's 11 games of glory. So exactly. I think it was nice for the guys to be able to check off that box last night and just kind of, not necessarily take it easy today, but step 1's down. Let's go. Road to glory.
Absolutely. And here are a couple things about the Mariners entering this series. They won 8 of their last 11 coming into the series. In the month of September, they had the 2nd best WRC plus in baseball, the best WRC plus in baseball in the American League in the month of September, 132. They had been hitting. Obviously, they'd fired their hitting coach recently and replaced it with Edgar Martinez. Not saying Edgar Martinez is a great hitting coach. We don't know that yet, but we do know that he is an all-time Mariner. He's a Hall of Famer. We've seen that sometimes players are more willing to listen to or adjust with a hitting coach who is a player or who was a player. They maybe garner a little more respect. They'd only struck out 23.8% of the time. That's actually the same rate the Yankees have struck out at this month. So it wasn't like this pitching staff was facing a Mariners offense that was, ice cold, and that team is not hit all year. But they were facing the Mariners offense that had been red hot, and they shut them down, right? Like the Yankees, they allowed 1 earned run today, 1 earned run yesterday, 2 earned runs Tuesday. So they allowed 4 earned runs this series. They had that crazy streak earlier where I think it was against the Royals or Boston where they hadn't allowed like an earned run in a while. They've been pitching their tail off, man. The Yankees have been incredible on the pitching side of things, and that's really encouraging. I feel really good about where they're at on the pitching side of the ball. It feels like they don't, not to say that they don't have some question marks, but that's really the takeaway for me, right? Like they're pitching better, and I feel confident about their rotation options. You can go to Schmidt, who threw 5 innings, 1 run ball. It was a gutsy outing. He worked around some rough defense in the first, didn't look too sharp out of the gate, and then he locked in. He ended up striking 7 batters. He has a 1.76 ERA since coming back. Heal's ERA, I believe, is sub-3 since coming back from the IL. Both these guys have just given them better starts, and having them start instead of like Will Warren, right? Like that's a huge swing. That's been a huge swing because on one of these 2 days, the Yankees would have given up 9 runs, 10 runs. And that's where the Yankees were like, oh, instead of being 2 games up, 3 games up in the division, instead of being 3 games up, 4 games up in the division, they're 1 game up or tied, right? Like that's where like the infuriating, like the Orioles are slumping and we're not taking advantage of what happened, at least recently, saved the bullpen a little bit. Also want to give a shout out again to Tim Hill. Tim Hill, just a monster. Tim Hill continues to just baffle me, man. He doesn't make any sense. He doesn't make any sense, but that's fine. I also wanted to ask you this, kind of rewinding a little bit, looking at this series, looking forward a little bit. If you were to set up the Yankees rotation, ALDS, ALCS, so like let's say a 3-man and a 4-man, how would you line it? I imagine I know who's going game 1, but like, how are you lining that rotation up for a 3-man rotation or a 4-man rotation?
For a 3-man set, obviously Cole is at the top of your 3 and your 4. I think that's an interesting question because when I look at priority, I look at Carlos Rodon. When I look at confidence level, I look at Clark Schmidt as going as that 2. But again, I also think that this is something that kind of comes to the fold over the next week or so because there's still baseball left to be played, and we're still trying to figure out right now who's hot in this rotation and who's going to be able to grab those slots. Like we just got done talking about Nestor. Like Nestor could, he's been incredible lately. He could end up vying for a game two start. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to fall off a cliff. Like we don't really know. But if I were to give you right now confidence level of what I would give you, and this is going to sound really weird, man. This is going to sound really weird. For a 3-game set, I think I would go Cole for sure. Based on lately, this might sound a little nuts. I'm going Nestor. That's just been a freak, man. That's just been awesome. And then I think, confidence-wise, I'd probably go Schmidt. I think Rodon probably finds himself in that mix realistically. I think, what they end up rolling is probably Rodon game 2. I don't think Nestor probably gets into that fold, but I do think he gets into the fold if it's a 4-man, because I think that the role that we kind of outlined for Nestor Cortez in the bullpen is kind of like the Marcus Stroman role now. I kind of think that's where they're leaning with that thing, and they wanted to figure out which one of those 2 guys could kind of adapt to that role and like make it make sense. I don't doubt that Nestor could still come out of the bullpen once the playoff time, once the playoffs come, and like will eat like important innings for you when like Stroman's just kind of like a toss out, and like if we're getting shelled or if like we're blowing somebody out, like then like you'll have Stroman go eat 4 or 5. But confidence wise, I don't think that Nestor Cortez can kind of be ignored here just because of what he's done recently. And you just got to play the hot hand sometimes. But I think that realistically, if I'm, if this is what I were to presume that Aaron Boone would go for a 3-game, I'm thinking Cole, Rodon, Schmidt. I'm thinking for a 4, you probably go Cole, Rodon, Schmidt, Heel, and then you extend Nestor. Maybe you put Nestor in like an opener type spot. But like, if I'm going to ride the hot hand, I think that Nestor Cortez certainly deserves a shout. Now, I'll flip it to you. What do you think about that, man? I think it's a really hard question.
I think it's a hard question for good reasons, which is awesome. That's exactly what you want. You want the New York Yankees to have a very tough decision to make about the rotation because guys are pitching well. Not because where it was a month ago where it's like, are we really going to start Nestor Cortez? Are we really gonna start Carlos Rodon, right? Like that kind of thing where it's like you didn't feel confident in those two names. Now you kind of do. I think I feel almost more confident in Cortez than Rodon, but as you mentioned, there's a financial attachment to Rodon. And look, he's pitched really well as of late. It's not like he would be undeserving. It's just a recency thing. But if I were to go with my rotation, again, Garrett Cole, that's an obvious one, right? Number two, I'm going at Clark Schmidt. I feel like Clark Schmidt, like I know what you're saying, like what Aaron Boone would likely do, but I'm adamant that Clark Schmidt should be the number 2 starter in the rotation. I think he's been the most consistent arm in that rotation all year. If I'm not mistaken, he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in a start this season, which is just bonkers. Maybe that means he's due for regression, and that will hit in the postseason, but I'm riding the hot hand. You could argue Cortez due for regression because he's got a 1.5 ERA in his last 8. Rodon may be due for regression because he's been dominant lately. You could throw that for everybody, I feel like. If you were to look at the number 3 start, I think that's a perfect spot for Rodon. 4 is tough. He has the better season than Cortez in terms of ERA. Cortez, he's been the better starter lately. He can pitch deeper into games. I think you go based on the matchup. If you're facing a lefty-heavy team, you go at Cortez, like the Orioles. The Orioles would be a really good matchup the Orioles would be a really good spot to throw and get Nestor involved. He's pitched really well against them also in his career. He's really handled the Baltimore Orioles, especially recently. It's not about like just a 2022 thing. Even though in 2022 they had a lot of the guys that are on this team still on that team, whether it's Adley, Santander, Mountcastle, those kinds of guys. I think that's where I would throw Cortez. If it's a team like, maybe it's Kansas City where you have the Bobby Witt Juniors and Salvador Perez of the world, I think I want Luis Gil there just because I dread the idea of Nestor Cortez trying to get something by Salvador Perez, who turns into the greatest two-way player we've ever seen when we play him. Because, I defensively and offensively, and he's playing a position that it's not even his natural position, but that's a different conversation for a different day. And I think the beauty of this is that you can do that. And that the other guy in the Gil Cortez situation can come out of the bullpen. Stroman again out of the bullpen. I'm fine with that again, just to eat innings. The bullpen, I feel good about the bullpen. So I'm not going to touch that in terms of I'm not moving any of these starters above Weaver or maybe Cousins when he's fine, Canely even, or Hamilton. Like those 4 are my top 4 there. I'm not really touching that. But if Nestor were to go to the bullpen, I do think he'd be like their 5th best reliever. Maybe he'd be, in that core group of guys who would trust. The one thing I will be curious to see is if the Yankees try to get some guys involved out of the bullpen. I remember in 2019, they had Tanaka make a relief appearance. CeCe make a relief appearance. They had Tanaka make a bullpen appearance in one of those years as well. They've shown a willingness to kind of be experimental. Both of those were Aaron Boone-led teams. I wonder if they try getting like Nestor Cortez, hey, try to come in and get out of this situation with 2 runners on. Hey, let's try Marcus Stroman with runners on. Hey, let's try Luis Gil, to come out of the bullpen, skip a start, something of that nature. I'm not really sure who it'll be. I think Stroman is 100% not going to get a playoff start, but I don't know if he's going to be trusted in that kind of role. I think that he'd be more of a bulk guy. But again, it's a realignment rotation to be Cole, Schmidt, Rodon, and either Cortez or Gil. I can't give you a firm answer on the game 4 guy. I really can't. That's the one where I can't even firmly tell you that Cortez shouldn't be the game 2 starter, right? Like I don't know what my firm answer is on this. And it's also not like Cortez is abysmal on the road either. A lot of this stretch has occurred on the road against Chicago. Granted, it's the White Sox. That's like beating up a 5-year-old. You know what I mean? Like it's not really impressive. I'm joking. It is still kind of impressive. Dominated against Seattle, came out of the bullpen against the Cubs. Is there another outing I'm missing in there? Did he pitch on the road? I don't know, but point is he's thrown 3 sparklers on the road. He's wiped teams out. So I'm not concerned about the home road thing anymore. He also had some stinkers at home. The Angels start at home was awful. That Cardinals start at home, that series was grotesque. So I'm not really, I don't know. I don't really care. And at Washington, 1 run, 6 2/3. That was a gutsy performance as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the rotation. Sam, looking forward to this Oakland series. I feel like the Yankees should just beat up the Oakland A's because that's what they should do, right? Like I feel like that's series notes. Beat up the A's because you should.
Go get your job done. Go finish business. Yeah, I mean it's the end of the year. Go lock them down. I'm I'm not going to sit here and laugh at the Oakland Athletics because they've actually been a half decent ball club this year. They're not like White Sox bad, which is cool. I think they won 30 more games than the Chicago White Sox just because the White Sox are generationally awful. Go in there, shut down Brent Rooker, man, because he's a dog. Just go to Oakland, get your business done. Last trip to the Coliseum ever.
Throw force.
I will be,
Just throw force or Rooker. Just
throw force. Yeah, just throw force, Garrett. I think he's pitching. Is he pitching tomorrow?
100%. I will say this: Lawrence Butler for a home run against Garrett Cole. Yeah, he is pitching. I think Lawrence Butler is going to kill us this series.
Fireside bench.
Lawrence Butler. Lawrence Butler is cool and just drops tank. So like
Lawrence Butler's fun, dude. And Rooker. Oh my god, dude. Rooker's so awesome.
I remember that home run he hit off of Schmidt. He was like a sinker in. He like sends it 70 rows deep.
Yeah. Dude, he is going to be – Brent Rooker in the offseason is going to be one of the biggest pieces dealt. They're going to get an absolute haul for Brent Rooker. And just because he's had an incredible season, I want to say as far as WRC plus leaders, he's very high up on that leaderboard. Like it is very high.
Ohtani just had a 3 home run game, so I'm assuming Ohtani passed Rooker, but I'm pretty sure it's just Judge, Soto. It's Judge, Soto, Ohtani, then Rooker. And Rooker's 1 point behind. So even after a 3 home run game, he's right there with all of them.
Rooker's at 6. Rooker's at 6 with 38. So Zuna, Soto, Santander, who just hit 41 today. Ohtani, this hasn't even updated, so Ohtani's still at 48. And then Judge, obviously, pretty boy at 53. And then Brent Rooker, WRC plus on the year. Qualified hitters, third in MLB, 171. Third in MLB at 171. They will net a crazy haul from Brent Rooker in the offseason. Like there will be so many teams calling to get this guy. I know he used to play there, and like I don't know if those homecomings necessarily make a ton of sense. But I feel like every time a name comes up like this, there's one team that I'm just like, yeah, I know where you're going. Like I know exactly where you're going. You're going to the San Diego Padres because they will literally shell out anything to go get anybody on the trade market. It never matters for them. The Mets could end up like just trading for Brent Rooker and like it would just look normal. But like he is going to net them a haul. But as far as the Yankees, go to Oakland, get your business done. I'm going to cry when they leave the Coliseum for the last time because it's going to be a real heartbreaker. And, kind of just like I said earlier, you checked one box down. Go check the next box. Go to Oakland.
Are the Yankees on perfect game watch because they did it last time here? I mean, this offense is so much better than last year's Oakland's offense. But like,
here's the thing, man. Here's the thing about perfect game watch is like what like most random human event ever. Most random human event ever was that perfect game watch. Like unbelievable. It was unbelievable how much sense it didn't make. And it's Garrett Cole. So I'm never counting anything out. I'm never saying no. However, shout out my boy Mingo. I think he recently got DFA'd. And he's just, not the greatest human being on the planet. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I'm heartbroken that he's not a New York Yankee or that he's not in Major League Baseball. I'm not gonna lie. There have been I've shed more tears for another guy not being a Yankee.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that having Mingo.
But,
go ahead. Let's flip. Just to cap it off. We got a fun weekend of football coming up. We don't just talk about Yankee stuff on here because Yankees are just good, and there isn't a lot to just spew about them. Thursday Night Football is going to be fun tonight. Jets, Patriots, MetLife, Aaron Rodgers, over under half a passing yard.
I think Aaron Rodgers should have a day, but I don't know. I feel like he should have a day.
Aaron Rodgers over under running out with the American flag.
I don't think he'll run out with the American flag this time. I don't.
I don't think he should because I think that's just like bad juju at that point. But I think they keep it close. I think it's very ground heavy. Christian Gonzalez is great. I think he keeps Garrett Wilson in check enough to the point where it doesn't become a blowout. I think Brees is fun. I think Ramondre's been fun. Antonio Gibson had a fun week last week. So there's a night. And then the Bills play Monday night against Jacksonville. They're totally going to lose. So they always lose Jacksonville. And then the Giants play the Browns Sunday at 1 p.m. Daniel Jones. Let's go out there and have a day, kid.
I wanted to point out the Jacksonville Jaguars have not won a game since last Thanksgiving. So you keep that going. That'd be really funny to keep it going.
They will fully beat the Bills.
Probably.
Like the Bills always lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. England last year is like in London is when they played us, and that's where Matt Milano died essentially. He'll be back later this year, but gross baseball or football game.
Wanted to point out, because this is not the most, I just saw this tweet and obviously not awesome. Apparently Soto's going to be getting x-rays on his knee. He said it depends on how he feels if he'll play tomorrow, and that he slid directly into the concrete.
That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. I mean, he was able to play the rest of the inning. He walked it off. I feel like there was a very long conversation there about, and there was a very long conversation there about Soto, about staying in the game. And I think that if it was something that was really bad outside of a bone bruise, I think that he would have instantly got pulled from that game and they would have sat him down.
I will also follow this up by saying, because I just saw this Brandon Cuddy tweet now, knee feels pretty good right now. It's stiff. Mentioned a bruise. Again, we'll go for x-rays. Hopefully it's nothing serious. As you mentioned, it's kind of hard to imagine the guy was able to walk around and play the outfield on a destroyed kneecap.
Yeah, he would have came out of the game.
Especially up 4 games in the division. I don't know. I just don't Aaron Boone pulled Jake Cousins after he struck a guy out. You know what I mean? He was
right.
Quick hook.
They would have pulled his ass immediately.
Yeah.
He would have.
It is what it is.
He would have been completely out of the game. I'm not. Granted, I was sweating at first. When it first happened, I was sweating, but I don't think. I mean, sit him down tomorrow. Sure. Sit him down tomorrow. I'm okay.
Yeah, if he's in the lineup tomorrow, I'm fine. If he's even resting, I'd a green light. Hey, don't play him tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just as long as the X-rays come back clean, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah,
I hope he's fine. I think he'll be fine. We'll see. We've had a lot of hilarious injury scares with both of these guys, Judge and Soto, and it's just
right.
They're not fun, man. They're not. They're the most stressful thing ever. But yeah, I mean, look. Hopefully he's okay. But Sam, if people wanted to bet on these football games, where would you recommend that they would get these incredible picks? I want incredible picks. So where would you recommend we go out and get those?
Well, this is only if you're 21 and up. Unfortunately, Ryan, I'm very sorry. But for people that are my age, you know what I mean, in the UNC stats, if you will, Fireside Bets, football parlays, every single slate. Thursday night football, Sunday 1 to 4s, Sunday night football, and then Monday night football. And then when you have the rare Friday night football, we're covered that for you there as well. Fireside Bets, we're doing big stuff. The growth has been very fun. If you've already tuned in to Fireside Bets, I really appreciate you. I'm really putting a lot of work into that page. But yeah, guys, parlays every single day on that side. Best bets every single day on that side. We also have the Discord that we're running. My guy Jack, our guy Jack, is putting out fire picks every day. Buddy's ROI is absolutely off the chain. He's made 39 grand this year, just strictly off of sports betting. It's free money, guys. Hop in that Discord, hop on our pages. We are everywhere. We are trying to bust tail and get as much content out for you guys as possible right now. So yes, Fireside Bets on all platforms. And if you want to check out the Discord, go to the pages, click the link in the bio, and then join right from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, everyone, you guys can check out Fireside Yankees and all of our content on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course its YouTube page, all under @Fireside Yankees, except for Instagram, it's fireside.yankees. If you enjoyed today's podcast, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys think about the Yankees, where they're at in the comment section below. Give us a little confidence meter check, 1 through 10. Where are you guys at, with the New York Yankees? And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go Yankees. Peace out.
Perfect.